YouTube, what is going on? It is Young Mustard and I am back with another episode of the NBA Weekly Review. Now, without further ado, guys, I want to tell you guys to follow me on Twitter because there was a suggestion made to me on Twitter today actually, and I'm going to be making the video of that suggestion. So if you want to suggest videos to me, I suggest that, no pun intended, that now is the time that you do that. And the best way you can do it is to follow me on Twitter, and you can either DM me or you could tweet me and I will most likely respond. And if I don't, I'm so sorry. So guys, without further ado, once again, let's get on with the 5 segments of the NBA Weekly Review. LeBron James and Lonzo Ball had their first official game against one another, and it was a really good game as the Cavs came away with the W, but both teams actually performed better than expected, or at least above their season averages, I should say, as LeBron James did what LeBron James normally does. He got a triple-double with the W. He had 25 points, also had 2 blocks, 2 steals, 12 assists, 12 rebounds, shot 44% from the field, which isn't great, but when you consider all the other things they did and the fact that they won, I mean, we can also look past it. And then when you look at Kevin Love played phenomenal, had 28 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Also shot 66% from 3 and 60% from the field. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Jose Calderon with 17 points, and also Kyle Korver added 10 points off the bench as well. And then when you look at the Lakers, their young pieces stepped up as well. Brandon Ingram had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and also shot 75% from 3 on 4 3-pointers attempted and 3 3-pointers made, and shot 66% from the field. And then you also have to look at Kyle Kuzma, had 20 points, Clarkson had 11, Randall also had 13 points off the bench, and then the man that everyone wanted to see how he would fare against the Cavs, against a man who he also draws comparisons to in terms of his IQ and his all-around game and getting those triple doubles, in Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball had 13 points, also had 2 steals, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds, and also he shot just under 38% from 3, made 3 3-pointers, and shot 45% from the field. This game really highlighted how much better Lonzo was getting with the progression of the amount of games that he plays during the NBA season. When you look at what he did to the Knicks earlier on this week, he had a really good game. He had 17 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block, 8 rebounds, also shot 50% from 3, and also shot 46% from the field. So when it comes to his progression, he's getting better. I mean, Lonzo Ball, though his efficiency isn't looking good in his season average, he just had 2 back-to-back games. Actually, he had 4 straight games where he shot at least 40%, which is way better than his season average. I know 40% isn't great, but when you look at his season average, that's not even at 35%. When you consider the fact that against the Sixers, he shot 45%, against the Hornets, he shot 40%, against the Knicks, he shot 46%, and against the Cavs, he shot 45%. I'd say he's improving. And then also when you consider the fact that LeBron and Lonzo, they had a little conversation at the end of the game, and they covered up their mouths with their jerseys, you know, so we couldn't read what they were saying. I mean, who knows what was being said? I know that some advice was being said at least. I know LeBron was advising the guy. He did stick up for Lonzo. He said he is a rookie. Can we let him play? And I mean, at the end of the day, that's the truth. We gotta understand that Lonzo is a rookie. There are other parts of his game that he's just going to have to fix on the way along in his career. He's not going to fix it all in his rookie year. Besides his shooting and his shot form, which is really the problem, what is the problem with Lonzo? He's better on defense, he can rebound, he passes well, he orchestrates an offense better than a lot of rookies that we've seen over the past few years. And I mean, his basketball IQ is unlike any other player that we have in the league. So for Lonzo's case, it's going to get better. I mean, his jump shot can't get any worse, let's just be honest. And I think that Magic knows how to fix it. I mean, let's look at Magic. His jump shot wasn't great, but later on, he eventually fixed it and became a little bit more respectable. So at the end of the day, LeBron and Lonzo going one-on-one, it taught us that Lonzo's only going to get better. And I can see the similarities between LeBron and Lonzo because when you just watch them play against each other, it was pretty clear. Chicago is ruining the dream of a lifetime to get Marvin Bagley or maybe even Michael Porter Jr., depending on his injury status coming up in the draft, because they are not losing the games that they should be losing. Ever since Nikola Mirotic has came back, and it might be because of him, the Bulls have not lost a game. They've been on a 5-game winning streak. I mean, this is just really annoying. I don't understand why the Bulls have not gotten it through their heads that they need to lose as many games as possible. I mean, that's what we were doing until Nikola Mirotic decided to come from whatever European league that he went to after him and Bobby Portis had a fight and it nearly broke his jaw. I mean, Nikola Mirotic, ever since he returned, has averaged 20 points, 6 rebounds, nearly a steal. Also has shot 57% in 2-point percentage, and in 3-point percentage he shot 50%, and then from the field he's shooting just under 54%. And then when you look at Bobby Portis, over the past 5 games he's been balling as well. Nearly 16 points, a steal, an assist, 6 rebounds. Also is shooting 78% from the free throw line, 54% from 3, and 62% from the field. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited that these players have some upside and they're playing extremely well, but we need to be losing. But there's something I want to highlight, and it's not Nikola Mirotic or Bobby Portis, but it's Chris Dunn, because Chris Dunn over the past 5 games has shown a lot of promise. I mean, first, let's just start with his averages of the season. This season, he's averaging 13 points, also 5 assists and 5 rebounds, and he's shooting pretty well from the field and from 3, 43% from 3. That's not great, but when you consider the fact that it's his first legitimate year starting, and, you know, it's his first time having the keys to the offense, that's pretty good. And he's shooting 36% from 3. Now, in the 5-game winning streak, Chris Dunn, he has been balling, I'm not even going to lie to you. And he hit the game-winning shot in Alec Burks' face, and he screamed out 2 words that I'm not going to repeat because I ain't trying to get this video flagged down. In the past 5 games, he's averaged 16 points, also 2 steals, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and he shot 42% from the field. Now, when you look at the games that he's actually started, he has been better than expected for this team, especially defensively. He's averaged 14 points, also 2 steals, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 37% from 3 and 43% from the field. He is doing actually pretty well for the Bulls, and also we all know Lauri Markkanen's having a better season. If you haven't seen my video about him, you guys go look it up, because this team, they have some really good young pieces, and when Zach LaVine comes back, we're gonna see what this team is now that the Jimmy Butler trade is over and Jimmy Butler's, you know, era is done in Chicago. We're gonna see what this team is made of in the young assets. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there are some questions revolving this team. One, Chris Dunn most likely is not the point guard that we're gonna build our team around. I mean, maybe we get a point guard in the draft or something like that, but he's not going to be the guy that leads this team to a championship or even to the playoffs, to be honest. I just don't see that from Chris Dunn. And then secondly, Lauri Markkanen, there are some things and aspects of this game that he does need to fix, like his defense, and his rebounding isn't the greatest for someone of his position. And also when you consider his efficiency, that's something that needs to be perfected as well. And then the last biggest question, at least from what I can see, is if Zach LaVine does not come back this year from his ACL injury, which is a possibility that he will not come back. There's a chance that he will, but even if he does, he has 1 year left on his contract. Are we going to give him the max money, or at least a lot of money? I mean, let's just be honest here. You have a player who's not a great defender. He's really just a scorer, and he just came off of an ACL injury. I mean, is that someone that you really want to put money into your franchise on? Now, I understand it is a contract year, so maybe, you know, he will settle for less money or a 1-year deal so he can prove himself and then get the money. But at the end of the day, there are questions with this organization. But I will say there are some bright spots as well. But let's not have one of those bright spots being that we win at least 30 games. I want us to lose as many games as possible so we can get Marvin Bagley, or we can get Michael Porter Jr., or maybe even Luka Doncic, whatever his name is. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but we need to get a top prospect in this draft and build our team around them, because let's be honest, the Bulls need some type of proficiency and some type of high-level players, because we haven't had that since, actually we did just have that with Jimmy Butler, but I'm talking about championship level caliber players. We haven't had that since Derrick Rose, and I'm talking about MVP Rose. So hopefully the Bulls can, you know, pull off a miracle and keep losing games, or should I say stop winning games, and get back to our losing habits so we can get Marvin Bagley and get back to some winning habits. Kawhi Leonard this Tuesday made his debut, and it was a really good debut, especially when you consider the fact that he only played 15 minutes, or should I say 16, because it was 15 minutes and 51 seconds to be exact, and he did pretty good in those minutes. He actually had 13 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 6 rebounds, also shot 50% from the field. Those are pretty good numbers for somebody playing 16 minutes. And then when you consider the fact that the next game, which was against Houston, he had a really good game. He had 12 points, 4 rebounds and assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, also shot 50% from 3 and 56% from the field. That performance becomes even better due to the fact that he did all that in just under 17 minutes. And James Harden had just a little bit of a flashback when Kawhi Leonard blocked his shit into the stands. Now, the bad news of his return is that they did lose both games, and they lost to Dallas by 6, and then they lost to Houston by 15. But LaMarcus did have a really solid game in both of those games, so I mean, I guess for LaMarcus's sake and his confidence, I mean, that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, I do give Kawhi his props, because not only did he come back, and he looks pretty nice in those minutes, but he's putting up the numbers that we'd expect Kawhi to be putting up. Yes, he's not averaging 22 already, but I mean, at the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard, he's taking advantage of the minutes that are presented in front of him, and hopefully he'll just get back to his ways and he can lead this team to a top 3 seed, possibly a top 2 seed. I mean, who knows what the Spurs are capable of anymore. So at the end of the day, shout out to Kawhi, shout out to the Spurs for getting Kawhi back, and let's see where it goes from here. Russell Westbrook has all the tools and all the skill, all the talent, all the athleticism in the world to be one of the best basketball players that we've ever seen. Especially with the athleticism that he has at his position, it's just straight up ridiculous. But he refuses, and I mean refuses, to adapt, refuses to change his playing style to help other players on his team, and he just refuses to listen. He just disobeys legitimate fundamental basketball principles. Russell Westbrook this week had ups and downs that are just ridiculous for a superstar. Against Charlotte, which they did lose by 13, he had 30 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, also had 3 steals, and he actually only had 2 turnovers. He shot 50% from 3. Yes, I know he only made 1 3, but he also shot 45% from the field. Now, to be honest, that type of efficiency is really good for Russell Westbrook, but when you consider the fact that they lost, I mean, it just kind of makes it pointless. But against Indiana, it just became a completely different story. I just don't understand what's wrong with this guy. Against Indiana, Russell Westbrook went 3 for 17. Yes, you heard me correctly. He went 3 for 17. He also went 33% from 3. He also went 43% from the field. He missed 4 free throws and only made 3. I don't understand why this year he's actually worse from the free throw line. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then he also, yes, he had 17 rebounds and 12 assists, but we all know he passed those numbers. He had 10 points, and get this, he had 5 turnovers. I mean, this is just ridiculous. I don't understand what's wrong with Russell Westbrook. And then the next game against Philly, I mean, yes, I will admit this. He did win against Indiana, and he did win against Philly, and I give him props as well, which I know not many people are going to give him props for this. He played a lot of minutes because it was a triple overtime game, and I give any NBA player props. I don't care if you go to 5 overtimes or 6 overtimes or even just 1. If you play a lot of minutes, I give you props for consistently showing up and just playing above and beyond. I don't care if that's just what the game is, but I just give athletes props because playing 52 minutes, that's flat out ridiculous. But in the game against Philly, he had 27 points, 15 assists, and 18 rebounds. Also had 2 steals. Now, some people may be saying, what's wrong with that stat line? Well, there's nothing wrong with that stat line, but when you look at the other factors of the stat line, it just becomes worse. He shot 40% from 3, which isn't bad, but he also shot 30% from the field. He took 33 shots to score 27 points. And then he also went 5 of 12 from the free throw line, which is just flat out embarrassing. That is embarrassing. He shot 42% from the free throw line. That's embarrassing. And get this once again. He had 6 turnovers. Yes, 6 turnovers. I mean, it just really gets embarrassing that this is the MVP from last year, And one of the biggest reasons why he won MVP was because he averaged a triple-double. And the reason that they said that his MVP season was better than James Harden's season last year was, one, he did get the triple-double, and two, because he didn't have much help. But one, the help that he had last year is doing better without him, as Sabonis is doing really, really good in Indiana because he's not pulling up for threes because Russ wanted to pad those assists. And then Oladipo is balling in Indiana with them, who is leading that team to a better record than Russ is leading this Oklahoma City Thunder team to. And Russ has two All-Stars in Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, which I understand they're not having great years, but I believe that is due to, one, Billy Donovan's not a good coach, and two, Russell Westbrook's just not willing to change his playing styles to fit other players that he plays with. And then he actually had the nerve to go in an interview and say this.
And I'm honored to be able to be in Oklahoma City and come out and compete every single night. And my job is to never stop, regardless of percentages. I don't really give a damn about percentages, honestly. All I care about is wins. As long as we win, that's all I care about.
Now, I don't think Russ is lying about percentages or anything like that. I don't think he's lying about him not caring. But for you to say you don't care about percentages, but then for you to say that you care about winning, don't you understand the reason that y'all are not winning the games that y'all are supposed to is because of your percentages? I mean, the fact that you're shooting 33 shots to score 27 points, that kind of shows why y'all are struggling in terms of winning. It shows why you're struggling when you're averaging nearly 5 turnovers a game. You're struggling, or should I say your team's struggling, because your coach doesn't have the guts to tell you to calm down and to chill out. I mean, Russ, do you not understand that you are not controlled on the court? You do not know how to trust your teammates. You do not know how to, look past getting a triple-double in order to get the win. But I mean, at the end of the day, you don't care. You don't care about all that because you care about getting the win. But if you truly cared about getting the win, you would cut down on these, stat padding triple doubles, and you'd cut down on just taking bad shots and just making bad passes. I mean, if you've seen some of the turnovers that Russell Westbrook just commits, it's just flat out ridiculous. It's blasphemous and it's idiotic and stupid, and it's just a disgrace to the game of basketball. And then when you consider the fact that his field goal percentage, I will say once again, is below 39%. His field goal percentage is worse than his rookie year. This is the worst field goal percentage he's ever had in his career. And it's coming off of a season that everybody was saying he had no help, and he has two All-Stars in Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. Paul George, who's a great catch and shoot player, and Carmelo Anthony, who can score at will anytime he's given the ball. So for Russ to sit here and to have help and to be shooting this bad, and for their team not to be winning the amount of games that people expected them to be winning, I mean, whose fault is that? Whose fault really is that? Who can you blame? You gotta look at not only Billy Donovan, who I've been saying they need to fire on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, but you also gotta look at Russell Westbrook, because it all falls on the leader sometimes, and you're not stepping up to the plate the way we think that you should and the way that we know you should, because we know Russ has the talent. We know he's capable. He's fully capable of doing better than what he's doing right now. And I think it's really disappointing that he's not willing to change his game in order to help his team win. I mean, it's clear that he said it numerous times, and maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe it's me looking for Russ to be better in some sort of way, but he's out of my top 5. I'm so sorry to you guys, but he is no longer in my top 5, and that's a video for another day because we're always going to have that debate. So let's go on to the next segment. If there's anybody that might look worse than Russell Westbrook this season, it might be Carmelo Anthony. I truly don't think there's a player that has made teams better when they leave better than Carmelo Anthony. Let's just be real here. Carmelo Anthony, let's just evaluate something here. He leaves Denver, they look better. Ty Lawson explodes for a season. He leaves New York, goes on the bench because he's hurt. Jeremy Lin explodes. He comes back, ruins the team because he wants a half-court setting where he gets the ball. Mike D'Antoni's out. The Knicks start losing. And then he leaves New York, goes to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is 14-15. Right now they are in the playoffs. They're 8th seed, but they spent a majority of this season not being in the playoffs. And then New York this year is balling. They are killing it. Tim Hardaway Jr., who was on the Knicks before and then got traded, he's actually having a career year now that Melo's gone. Porzingis is having a career year, averaging 25 points per game. And if it wasn't for the fact that Oladipo's balling and Porzingis is suffering due to injuries, he'd probably be the front runner in the most improved player of the year candidacy right now. And also when you factor in that the Knicks might make the playoffs, it doesn't look good. And then also when you factor in that Phil Jackson was dogging Melo before he left, and then they fired Phil, and then they traded Melo, and right now it kind of looks like Phil was kind of right. Let's just be real. Phil looks a little bit good right now in the positive limelight because let's just be real. Phil was dogging Melo, and people were kind of blaming Phil Jackson for what happened in New York. They weren't blaming Melo. And then, yes, there is more to this than you might think. When you also consider the fact that Melo looks hella selfish right now, and D Wade is actually benefiting off of what Melo did. Yes, let's just evaluate something. Melo is told to come off the bench, or at least, he's asked a question about coming off the bench, and he laughs it off. He's like, I'm too good to be doing that. That's basically what he said. And then he said, hey, yo, P, they said I might come off the bench. And then when you look at D Wade, who was humble, and I mean humble, when it came to coming off the bench. What was it, only like 3 games into the season and he made a decision of coming off the bench? I mean, we're what, 25, 24 games into the season? And Melo, he's not going to come to that realization. He's not going to do that because Melo views himself better than he actually is. Let's just be honest here. He's selfish. And to be honest, I think he should come off the bench. And then last but not least, when you consider the fact that the Knicks beat the Thunder, it just gets worse. It gets worse. I mean, I understand Paul George didn't have the greatest game of his career, 18 points on 43% field goal shooting. Russ was actually pretty solid in this game. Let me show Russ some love. He had 25 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds. Yes, he did have 4 turnovers, but let's just be real. That comes with the territory with Russ. And he shot 50% from the field. Now, Melo, your performance was unacceptable. It was really unacceptable, especially when you consider the fact that the bench of the Thunder actually did pretty solid. Raymond Felton had 10 points, Patterson had 12, Jeremy Grant also contributed 9 points and 4 rebounds. I mean, this bench did okay considering the fact that the bench is not that great. Melo, it was up to you. You should have showed up. I blame this loss on Carmelo Anthony because Melo, you had 12 points, you had 3 turnovers, 5 rebounds. But the worst part about it is that you shot 28% from the field. You shot 5 of 18 from the field. You took 18 shots to score 12 points. That's just flat out pathetic. And then it gets worse when you consider the fact that Porzingis and Tim Hardaway Jr. did not play due to injury. I mean, it's bad. This looks horrible for Melo because Michael Beasley, he wasn't playing when he was saying he's the left-handed version of Carmelo Anthony, bruh. He was not playing. Not only did he pack you, Carmelo, because yes, he sent your shit flying into the stands. He had 30 points, 2 blocks, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. Also shot 86% from the free throw line, made 2 of his threes. He was 100% from 3 and 61% from the field. I mean, Jesus. And then Courtney Lee also had 20 points. Courtney Lee's another guy who's been balling better this year now that you're gone. Enes Kanter had 10, Doug McDermott had 11, Ron Baker had 11, Jarrett Jack had 12. I mean, this team, they're looking better without your Melo. They're 16 and 13. Meanwhile, your Oklahoma City Thunder, y'all are 14 and 15. So the Knicks, they're looking better without Melo, and your return to New York, it was not looking good. I don't care what tribute you got before the game, but you're looking bad, Melo. Hopefully, you can bounce back. Hopefully the Thunder can bounce back because that's really what this is dependent on. The legacy of you and Russ, they are really on the line right now. I mean, Paul George does look bad, but when you consider the fact that I think Paul George is really sacrificing, I think he's kind of being passive for the 2 other players. I mean, it's kind of looking better for him. People are kind of looking at Paul George like the guy that he's really sacrificing and he's working hard because Paul George defensively, he's the defensive player of the year candidate right now. He's doing amazing. So I don't really blame Paul George for this mess in Oklahoma City. I blame Billy Donovan, I blame Russ, and I blame you too, Melo. So hopefully y'all can step it up because this return to New York, it really highlighted how bad you look this season. Manu. How does he keep doing this? His clutch genes are something that players in their primes wish they had right now. And I'm talking about his clutch genes at the age of 40, because at the age of 40, Manu is still balling. Against the Mavericks, this game winner, just clutching his veins. When you consider the fact that he hit a game winner on the Celtics and now he's doing it against the Mavs, I mean, this man is aging like fine wine. And I ain't even gonna lie to you, bruh. I ain't even gonna lie. Manu, keep balling. That's why you deserve the play of the week for what you did against the Mavs, because man, not everybody can do that. Not everybody got those clutch genes that Manu got. So shout out to Manu for still balling at the age of 40. Yes, I repeat, 40. That's 4 decades of life right there. So shout out to Manu for the play of the week. LeBron James this year has been so phenomenal that it's just ridiculous that he is over the age of 30. It is just crazy that he's putting up numbers out of his prime that people in their prime, not just regular players, but legends in their prime, wish they could put up. But we're going to be talking about what he did this week because he is the player of the week. LeBron James this week averaged 26 points, 13 assists, 10 rebounds, a block, 2 steals. Yes, he averaged a triple-double, and also shot 79% from the free throw line, just under 31% from 3, which isn't great. But when you consider the fact that he shot 61% from the field. Yes, 61% from the field. It's ridiculous. I mean, against Atlanta, he had 25 points, 17 assists. Yes, 17 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. Shot just under 67% from 3. And also, get this, he was 11 of 13 from the field that day. 11 of 13. Yes, 11 of 13. This man shot 85% from the field. 85% from the field. He only missed 2 shots that day. So when you look at his highlights, actually you can look at the whole game, only 2 shots missed from LeBron James. This is a man that is above the age of 30. He is 32 years old and he's working these young guys like it's nothing. And then when you look at what he did against LA, which I went over earlier, but I'll go over it again because it's greatness, and why not look at greatness again? He had 25 points, 2 blocks, 2 steals, also had 12 assists, 12 rebounds, also shot 44% from the field, but it isn't great, but he got the dub, and that's what LeBron does. He gets dubs. And then when you look at what he did against Utah, he had 29 points, a steal, 10 assists, 11 rebounds, also shot 60% from the field and 100% from the free throw line. Yes, I'm saying 100 because he made 10 free throws. Yes, 10 straight free throws LeBron James made. Who said he can't make free throws? Who said he ain't clutch? Because LeBron James has proven to me that he is rivaling Michael Jordan. If he can get the job done in this finals, we are going to have a legitimate, serious conversation about if LeBron James is the greatest player that the NBA has ever seen. And right now, he may be the MVP favorite, even though I still think James Harden is the favorite, but he is in the conversation, no doubt, without question, because for him to be putting up these numbers at this stage in his career, I mean, nobody's been the best player in 15 years into their career. You know what? I'm not even going to go that far, because if I talk about how great LeBron James is, I mean, I'll be here forever. So at the end of the day, shout out to LeBron for getting the play of the week, because he definitely deserves player of the week. Nobody balled better this week than LeBron James. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up, comment down below your opinions. If you think I left any segments out, or if you agree or disagree, let me know down below. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and add me on Snapchat. The links will be down below in the description box. So without further ado, you guys, I'm out. Peace.
Popping all these pills, she said she used to it. She wanna go way up. Okay, baby, if you're used to it. And I know that you a grown woman.